Just give us a minute. YouTube is preparing to live stream the webinar.
Believe the stream should be started.
Okay, this is a Standing Communications Committee meeting. I will be taking notes real time as we go through it. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:04. There's a land acknowledgement and anti-racism statement available on the Sun Valley website. So for a roll call tonight, we have Sandy, Morgan, Trang, and Colleen. Is that correct? Anyone else here yet? Okay. This, I want to do an addendum to the agenda that we need to approve. Somebody will have to motion to approve it after I read it and second it. That at the end of the meeting, we're going to add Sun Valley homeowner comments for 10 minutes, 2 minutes each speaker. It's comments only and no responses this week because we have such a heavy agenda, but we welcome the comments. And then I'm going to start with general updates to the comms committee. I want to introduce Morgan Libby as co-chair from the board of directors. So she and I are the board of directors members for this committee currently. I don't believe that we have draft minutes from the last meeting. So at the next meeting, we'll have 2 sets of minutes to approve. I wanted just to have here in the front some of the dates that we'll be going through in further details, reviewing each upcoming event on a template and identifying next steps that we have to do. I want to introduce new business to identify what I'm going to call the end of the term deliverable, that we have an outline that, and we can have more than one meeting a month, that we wrap up everything that we've done this year and we level set for the next committee that will be coming on with our recommendations, any kind of documentation we have, the website deliverables that were created, and any recommendations. And then we will adjourn. So is there a vote to add the addendum items, these 2 right here, to this agenda? Is there a motion?
I motion to add the agenda to today's agenda. Is that right, Sandy?
Yep, the addendum. Is there
Okay.
a second?
Second.
All in favor? Raise our hands. Morgan, unless we hear from you, I'm going to assume it's a positive because I can't see you.
I thought I turned on the video.
Okay. Thank you. Well, you're tiny for me because I'm trying to keep the document up that we can go through. Again, I'm promising a streamlined meeting. If it works well this way, we can have meetings every other week or every week to get what we need to done to wrap up the communications committee and set the stage for a more optimized session next time. So I'm going to do a level set that the board of directors approved me as communications chair for now, and Morgan Libby was approved as BOD number 2 member for this committee. I wanted to go through some general updates, and Joanne, if I got something wrong from our conversation, please feel free to jump in and correct me. We have sandwich boards available. They're the ones we see at the gate that look like this. Joanne has said there's an in-house printer, so we can print those. So we could put them more places to do part of our communications as another tool. So beside the gates, I thought these might be the mailboxes, maybe bus stops, the bulletin boards. What are the places that people traverse and will see these communication boards and know to look for them? How many anyone know how many mailbox locations we have?
I know there's at least 5. But there are also smaller section like the one off Morning Glory, or not Morning Glory, AMP
Yeah.
Beach near the kayak. There's that
So
small.
would you think that we should have a, not quite a policy, but that we would put them at all mailboxes, even if they're small for 40 people?
If we
instead
have
of 100?
enough. But I would at least do the 5 major one, gate 13, gate 5, gate 3, gate 1. And then that.
Do we know how many
Gate
A-frame
13.
signs we have?
I
Um,
don't, but I've written it down to find out.
Okay. Because I think before we can decide where they go, we need to figure out how many we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also would like to put them in the park, the 2 major parks,
So which would those be?
Maple Leaf and Huckleberry Park.
Well,
Um,
Huckleberry would be both the mailbox and the park. It's a perfect place right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other part. Oh, the one in gate 5 is near the mailbox too.
Yeah.
So those are the doubles.
Just because a lot of our events tend to be for family in general, and I think the park is a great location for that. I do that for the library. I put their little signage for their events at the library at the park.
So there's a bulletin board at the library, right? And there's one at the Welcome Center.
There's one at the welcomes, there's one at the community center, and there's one down the marina. I've never had access to the key to the marina one, but when I was doing Valley Fair, I remember there's a glass and a key. I don't know, Joanne will have access to get in there, and you can put.
Well, but if it's this
The
sandwich board,
A-frame.
Yeah, then
stick it underneath or beside it kind of thing.
I think in gate 1, the mailboxes are, not that they're not frequented by everyone, but they're not as visible as some of the
Mhm.
other mailboxes from traffic. So gate 1 might be someplace where we want to consider placing it maybe like near security or like at the exit of the gate. I don't think the mailbox is as visible as, let's say, Huckleberry, or from passersby, like traffic, or, I don't know. I know at gate 13, we have signs. I can see the burn ban sign when I come to the stop to turn on to Lake Louise. That's a very popular place. It also happens to be very close to the mailboxes. So I would say, let's make it general, like within proximity to the mailboxes.
Okay.
And then,
Again, we can give this list a go and evolve it as it goes, but I think there are certain places that I look, and if we can get everybody to have the habit to, yeah, I know where to look.
I don't
for.
know if the bus stop would be a good location, because aren't they pretty small and cramped as it is?
Okay, that's fine. Any other ideas?
I think we
I-
just need to know how many we have so we can. put
Well,
them.
is there a bulletin board at the dance barn up on top and down at the gym area?
I only see one down in the
There's
gym.
one
area.
at the gym area. I don't know about the barn.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know about the barn.
yeah, the barn doesn't have anything like super visible. The main for that building is at the entrance to rec.
But is there-
But
I'm sorry, Colleen. Go
no, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I don't find that a very effective marketing tool. People, I mean, I very easily pass that by to get into the gym. Like, I'm just getting into the gym. But an A-frame standing there, I'm more likely to look at that.
Okay,
The
Morgan has a
important thing-
question.
The important thing about the A-frames is that I know my experience is there's too much information and I can't grasp it while I'm driving. So I think it's important to use bold type and 1 or 2 sentences, not a lot, because I have actually had the information that I really wanted. I've had to stop at the gate and take a picture with my phone because I couldn't read it all.
Okay, good idea. Karen,
Can I
your
just-
hand's up?
Yeah, I came late to the discussion, so I'm not sure if you talked about the signs at the gates, but I've always been a proponent of eliminating those signs because at least at gate 9 where I am, nobody stops to read the sign and you can't possibly read it while you're driving. You just go to that gate to get the heck out onto the road. But like the mailboxes and stuff are great and the parks are great and other places where you might pause. But I'm in my vehicle, I'm on the other side, as a driver, I'm not even on the side where the sign is. I can't read it and I just want to get out onto Lake Louise. I can't read the sign. I mean, if it said fire or something like that, like it was an emergency, that would be really useful. But any kind of information about any event, I think that the gate signs are just a distraction when you're trying to drive safely. That's my opinion.
Okay, I hear your viewpoint, Trang.
I was wondering if we could partner with the library as well, and maybe even the golf course. Can we put something there in front of the pro shop?
Okay. I will check into that. Again, I'm keeping us on course, moving fast tonight, but I think the library, would certainly, they're always supportive of all those kinds of things. As far as the Sudden Valley views, wait, Morgan's hand's still up. Do you want it still up?
I think that I don't, but I do, as I'm looking at the agenda, I just want to reiterate that we have the AGM coming up and we have the open house. And I think
Right.
those should be our two priorities right now.
I'm
because
trying
as
to get
soon
through
as-
this in
Yeah.
5 minutes is my goal.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Just take, whoever's in charge can take my hand in.
Oh, yes, because I just will ignore your hand unless I see
I
you
can just
bouncing
ignore
up and
me.
down.
Yes, good, excellent plan.
Bounce, hand in a bounce, I'll watch for. We need a volunteer for an article about the AGM for the views in the candidate forum, but I don't know if the views will be printed before October 8th. I know the deadline September 30th.
It's quick to answer, so we can email him tomorrow,
Okay,
or you can email him.
we can
Question.
later. Yep. Karen,
Which articles have to be done by volunteers and which articles can be done by the newspaper? Because I think those are great and they're very neutral and very informative. I mean, is this something that one of the reporters from the newspaper can do?
it was a board member that asked me.
Oh.
They said that would be a good thing for the communications committee to do from their viewpoint.
And are there general guidelines about which articles get done by the newspaper itself, the newspaper staff, and which ones get done by volunteers here in the
I
community?
don't know. I'll put it
Because I
as a
wonder if
future
that board
question.
member even knew that, that I don't know anything about how, does it cost extra when they do it? Are there guidelines? I just think it's kind of nice when a newspaper reporter does something like on the AGM. I mean, that's a big thing. And that's my opinion. If it were possible, I don't want to volunteer for it. It's too important.
Well, we may be past it because October 8th, it may come out after. So I will use that as a starting point. Mitzi did send us a series of graphics. What I didn't understand and understand now is that there's a charge for each of those ads by size and how many we have. So the recommendation would be for the October, and maybe this is our answer, the October 2nd. No, it's 2 ads, sorry. But one for trunk or treat, and then wrap all the other ones that Mitzi had as individuals into one that says save the dates for the rest of the year. There'll be more details. So like in November, it focuses on the holiday fair, and in December on the breakfast with Santa, which we don't have to go into detail tonight, but to have just those 2, that's a reasonable, I do not know the amounts, but that's a reasonable amount of money to spend. Of course, the newspaper would like to sell us ad space and have us doing 5 or 6 each time. So that's what Mitzi was kind of fishing to see if, how many we wanted to do. So I just put that out there. For now, I'm going to, as the chair, be a liaison with the staff member. I think it's Joanna and I for now, just as we transition and document for the next term, end of term. Activities that we're going to document are going to be the accomplishments like these things, planning for the future, just our recommendations. And then communication planning. These are the things that we're going to go through in more detail right after we do this. So Karen, is your
Penny,
hand still
Yeah,
up?
would you like me to do the little background research on who knows about views and maybe contact them or whoever it is that does it so that we know if there's guidelines about which articles get done how? I mean, I don't know who has that information.
I don't.
I can
Joanne,
follow
yeah.
up, Karen. I think either one of the board executive team might know, or I can follow up with the views.
Okay.
But it's a great question. No, I think to have those guidelines is a necessary thing. So thanks for voicing.
Yeah.
more documentation.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I second the Karen's thought on if we have the option of a neutral party writing articles like that for about the AGM. I think that's ideal.
Okay, Frank? You-
Don't we have a budget for the ads? It seems like that's something we do every year, so there should be set aside for.
And there is what somebody was explaining to me was, if we say for Mitzi, hey, yeah, let's run all 5 of those every month, October, November, December, that's not the way to do it, but there is a budget. It's reasonable to have 1, maybe 2 ads each time. So there is an expected cost. Yep.
Good girl.
The only problem I have with that is that the November date needs to be in, the holiday fair date needs to be in the October edition, just because it's the 19th of the month. And by the time the November edition comes out, the fair and everyone will be done. So we're kind of constantly trailing the event. So for October, I would like to see a trunk or treat ad as well as the holiday fair ad.
Okay, I hear your logic, and I just want to find out, how would you deal with, there's only one after that. So you're saying instead of a save the date, maybe the holiday fair could have 1 or 2 lines at the bottom that just says, save the date for breakfast with Santa, because it's kind of going along with the same theme.
I think you can do, by the time you get to the November edition, Sandy, you only have one more event, which is the Santa. So you have November and December to do an ad for that. Once October and holiday fair is done, you don't have any other event to do an ad for. And the people who pay into the holiday fair expects an ad because that's what they're paying for. Part of that marketing, whatever fee, is that ad in the view. And that's the only paper view that we have, to use. So that's a big portion of their marketing or fee they pay for. I mean, I can do as many social, Facebook posting, but it's not going to be equal to what it would be at the view. That has to be in the October to give.
Okay, so those would be the 2. Morgan, you have comment on this?
Yes, I think that that's one of our events and we should publicize it. And we should, as Trang pointed out, do it early so that it gets done. So absolutely.
Okay,
That's
so I
one-
hear a
that's-
second on that. Colleen, are you in favor of this concept too?
Yeah, we're already really late in the game for advertising for this event. So I think as many times as we can have it repeat leading up to it, as many additions as we can.
So these two would be due to be submitted 9/27, which is, I
Today?
believe, Friday. No, I'm sorry, 9:30, Friday.
Alex already has the trunk and treat ad. Should be easy enough to put in there.
But your
But as far as
preference,
the holiday fair, I don't know, Joanne, have you guys,
so, I have no idea of all of Alex's roles. Is he the graphic designer of choice? Does most years, not this year, most years, does he work with the communications committee to develop those graphics, or is that an in-house thing? Because again, Mitzi came out of nowhere for me today, right?
well, those ads that Mitzi sent you were all pretty much Sun Valley staff ad from what I can recognize them. So I think he's offering his in team.
Okay.
But I think we
We just have to ask Joanne, is that part of his role? I'm just trying, because it's not documented. I don't know whose role is what. I'm
that's a
happy
great
with what he
question.
did. I think
Alex
it's
did not
nice.
design, Alex did not design those ads. Some of them were done by Joshua Bowen.
Great.
So I do not know if there has been an ad or a poster or marketing thing developed for Holiday Fair. But I can look into that tomorrow. I just don't know right now. I know we've chosen the dates, and actually the Breakfast with Santa has been talked about as a question mark, but there's really only one date it could happen, and that's Saturday the 10th.
It's not coming up.
And I
We
guess
need
it's
to
happening
update that
Saturday the
date.
10th.
So this is one that Mitzi did. And again, you may have one from last year that sets the tone, trying that everybody's like, oh yeah, I've seen that sign before. I just need to look at the date.
That's the one Andrea did. That's like 4 years old.
Okay.
So
And
all
then
those ads that he gave you were all ads from previous staff. It wasn't
Okay.
Alex, it was previous staff. The Valley Fair and the Craft Fair, Josh helped and developed that for the paper. The Halloween one, Alex did.
Okay,
last
and I'm
year.
not asking for attribution. I'm just trying to say, moving forward, who do we look to? If there's a series of these already on file, I myself don't know the difference between a holiday arts and craft fair and the other sign. Is there only one craft fair? This one?
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay,
You just call it
Okay.
different
So-
names.
okay, and what's the real name?
I've only been involved in it 2 years ago, so it's always been the Holiday Art Craft Fair.
Okay,
But I think we're kind of in the crunch right now, so I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And we may have to use previous ad in order to meet the October deadline, which is fine with me.
okay,
Just have to change the
Morgan?
date and we just have to put the time different and
we
then,
gotta get the file,
yeah.
change the date kind of thing, or.
I can do
if
stuff
it-
like that. If you need a new one, just let me know. I'm taking down my hand, but I just needed to interrupt. I can do that if you need to. I know how to do that.
Okay. Okay, still need the file.
What
Morgan? Well, I mean, if we're gonna use one of the historic ones, you would need the file to change.
Yeah, I don't like the historic one, my personal opinion.
Okay,
Just make a new
so,
one.
Yes,
okay,
it's just the
preference
crunch of
is,
timeline.
Karen,
So-
is your turnaround time by
I mean, I
Friday?
could do something tomorrow and just pass it around to people if I knew the size. Does anyone know how big it's supposed to be? Oh, I'll just do an ad. I'll do a regular ad size from the newspaper and put together a couple things. Black and white, right? No color.
We're allowed color.
All
I
right.
don't think 6-color glossy, but
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. No, okay. All right, I got it. I'll send it around.
uh, okay. Morgan, your hands up
No, thanks.
before Colleen's.
I don't think no, I'm good.
You what?
I'm okay.
Okay,
I don't have a question.
okay. I'm trying to go by the hands. They shift up in order. Colleen?
I just wanted to ask if so with all of this, can we establish like, because Trang makes ads, I make ads, Karen
well-
makes ads, like, can we establish that with Joanne, like, is this a role moving forward that communications can play? Like, we are completely able to make ads. All we need is, the logo or whatever. And I think Trang has some files.
If you guys wanted to do that, I didn't mean to jump in and take it away. I just didn't hear anything.
No.
I'm sorry, Karen. I'm trying to communicate with. I just want to make sure it's okay with Joanne, because essentially that would be her decision. Who is so
Joanne's good with it.
okay.
Okay,
Everyone
so-
who has the ability and the technical capabilities to create ads can make ads, and we just have to agree the content as a committee.
Yeah, that's what I think, Colleen. In the past, Josh has been doing a lot of the ads for the staff, and we were given direction as a community. We wanted to define our role and what we can do and what we cannot do. And that's what Colleen is trying to verbally use. Because I do have marketing, Karen, and we have a lot of talented marketing people in here, but we were told that, it's staff. So that's the question in hand, is like, we have the ability to do it. What is the process in getting that? We sent you the approval, you approve it, and then we submit it to the view. Is that?
So I think we have to document the process, and we've talked about, having for now, the committee chair and a person on the Sudden Valley Ops side go through those processes, document them, and then everyone will feel real comfy. And, my hope would be, my recommendation for the next committee would be in January, start designing the whole year worth of graphics among ourselves on the communications committee, and then present them and get Ops's reading on it. But yeah, I think all the creativity in the world, just front load it, not at the last minute where we're trying to jam 3 or 4 things in here before the end of the year, because it just happened. Morgan's hands up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if we design them in committee, that Joanne approves them before they go out, and that she has final say.
I vote for that. Well, that way we can get some continuity going, that we
Well,
use.
And we
and-
don't want to be bogged down in the process. We want to make the ad, have somebody look at it. Yeah, that's good. Let's go.
Or let's put it away. We need it next month. It's ready to send to the views early. Okay, Colleen, your hands up.
Just to piggyback really quick, so I think the greater hope with Joanne's leadership is that all of the events early, like we're saying, we can have these ads, we can make these ads in January, that we also have the schedule of events for the year, more or less what's going to happen much earlier than we've been able to have this year. So that is I think the great hope for the ops manager and for staff, is that we have that list of things that we can be supporting as early as possible in the year.
That seems reasonable to me. Even if we don't settle on a particular date or time, we can at least put milestones on the calendar to say we're doing a spring event, we're doing these fall events, we're doing these summer events, and then the events can be planned, which is not the communications committee's job, but instead you can focus on how will we get the word out? What is the audience for this event? And focus more narrowly on that marketing element instead of the event element. And I think that's a good plan, and written it down.
Okay. Well, 34 minutes instead of 5. I'm right on track.
Karen
So-
has her hands up.
Oh, Karen, is your hand up?
No, sorry.
Okay. So the open house coming soon, very, very soon. We want to introduce Sudden Valley to the Welcome Center. It is, for example, the first increase in square footage since the original start of the project, Joanne explained to me, and we need to put the word out quickly. So the event details that I'm aware of so far, at 1 o'clock it starts. And at 1:15, there's a ribbon cutting. They will be available as mementos, pieces of the ribbon itself.
So Sandy, unfortunately, that we were not able to get the printer. They advertised that they would be able to turn it around in 48 hours. And then when we got to the point of ordering,
No problem.
yeah, so anyway, we can't do that. But there will be a ribbon. It just won't have the logo on it, which is disappointing.
All the departments will be representative, available for questions. There'll be a sign. Joanne will have the people there, and they'll have brochures and things like recommendation on if it's a department, here's the communication channels for that department. Here's the forms by that department. And I know it's going to go on the website and be wonderful, but we want to give them some interim today. This is how you do it. And, explain better things are coming. And then I'm hoping the departments will be able to say, in general, their process is the expectation for the homeowner is they can receive a confirmation of receipt of something they submitted. Don't know the exact process, but they should, be able to expect some kind of, yes, I've received it. And, hopefully Joanne, under her tutelage, everybody will get some kind of a common process about how to open a ticket, how to find your update on that ticket, how to close the ticket. Just, we're not there yet, but, they can talk about what the interim place is. I understand that it's going to be a hybrid format, Joanne, that there will be some visibility for the people who can't come in person. It'll be taped. Video.
The ribbon cutting itself is going to be recorded and then made available on YouTube, just as we normally do. But that portion of it will be short, probably 15 or 20 minutes at max. The materials that we're preparing for the departments are actually being prepared, taking content from the current website that talks about each individual department and how it serves the community. And our communication system is very similar, and well, there is an articulated communication system now. What we have lacked is an infrastructure to ensure that we can track and effectively respond to all of the inquiries and requests that we get. There are processes outlined, but they rely on things like, email this to that person, and then that person sends it to another person. And so we don't have an electronic tracking system. And that's the element of it that needs to be added, but the forms already exist for these different kinds of communications. What we're working to do is to, like I said, create that infrastructure so that we're not relying on individuals. Instead, we're relying on a system, and any individual can see where we're at. So, as communicators, you need to know what we're working towards, which is why I bring that up in this forum. But it's important for you also to know that the basics are in place and have been for a long time. Those forms are there, the definitions of who does what in terms of the departments, that's all in place.
Okay. And there will be refreshments available. There'll be tours. Is the a board member talked with me that the survey available there would be kind of a first thoughts. What's your first thought about what to do with this welcome center? But there'll be a more detailed, this is not your only chance. Sudden Valley homeowners, here's an initial first thoughts, kind of cluster ideas. Moving forward, we'll get more ideas, just to stir excitement, I think.
Yes, there will be a survey available where we invite people to give us input. Once we see the kinds of things that people are interested in, we can then follow up with a more detailed survey. But we will also be able to put that first survey online. But this will all follow the opening. This event plan for Saturday is truly a beginning, and people who attend the event will be able to see things first and fill out the survey first. And then that then the video will be posted to YouTube, and we'll make the survey available online. And of course, people can visit us anytime after that. But on Monday, member services will open in the new building. So it really is that Saturday date is a stake in the sand to say, we're open, and now we'll be in this new location to serve you. So that gives you a flavor for it.
Okay. And the hours will be dawn to dusk for the Welcome Center. Will that be on weekends too?
That's the plan, just like a park,
Okay.
because, that's when most people will be available to use the amenities here and walk that trail, and the additional parking will be so helpful.
Right. So, given all that, what ideas do we have for communication that we could get out fast and all kind of different places? I don't know if we have enough time for sandwich boards, but we should have enough time for the mailboxes.
Yeah. So to let you know, because time was short, we did create a very, very simple graphic poster. There's not a lot of detail about the event, but it says to join us. And that has been posted at the mailboxes in the small sign format. And the sandwich boards were being worked on this afternoon. I'm not sure if some of them are out or all of them will be put out tomorrow, but that's what has been done so far. We did make a simple announcement that had the graphic in it on the current Sudden Valley website, which simultaneously pushes the content to Facebook, but there hasn't been a concerted effort around social media marketing, which might be something that y'all could do far more effectively than our, website pushing to Facebook.
So Colleen, and then I want to call on Trang. Yes, Colleen. Can't hear you.
I just wanted to say, take the opportunity to thank you, Joanne, for coming to our meeting and tell you that we are overflowing with excitement in these processes that are coming. It's refreshing. It's kind of something we've been looking for, particularly for the kind of accountability of communication aspect, where a resident communicates, they know they've been heard, and here's what your status is on whatever it is you're communicating. So just hearing that is, that there are things that can be given to staff, tools that exist right now, but also that we're moving forward into better tools, is so incredibly hopeful and so much needed. And we are just really, really grateful for everything you're doing. So I just wanted to take time to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Trang, what can we do with this short of time?
Honestly, I wish we were included in the beginning when this was come up with so that we could push it. And as we are like this Saturday, I mean, I can only do so much. What we can do is we just share whatever is on the Sun Valley website. I would almost in the past with Valley Fair, we put that as like a topper, like right when you open it up. And that might be something, I don't know, Joanne, if you can get John to do. We've done that before where it's like as soon as you click on it, you see it, open house. And if you want to catch last minute people from when they look on, that would be a good place. I would use the Park and Rec's Facebook page as well. Get Alex to post it on his Instagram as well, as far as social media. We don't have a social media Instagram, so we can't do anything but just share what we have in our Facebook group. I belong to 3, the moms, neighbors, and members, but that's all I have. There are other communication members that are in other groups, and they can share that as well. And that's all we can do at this point. The only bad part about that is every time I post something, I don't know much about it. So it makes it really hard for me to answer questions about.
Well, but an open house is just a place where you bring the questions. So I think you're just trying to scoot them.
Yeah.
there, You know, and
Mhm.
I totally agree. And I'm excited that as we do our annual, end of term wrap up, that we make these recommendations, that I work with a comms committee that wants me to give them 6 weeks and I get 1 week to design my publication, which doesn't work either. But I think, next year, just tell us early and often, even when something comes up beside the scheduled ones, there has to be a process for those other events. So if there are 5 vendor events, come to Sudden Valley in the dance barn, they're set up, ready to go. How does the comms committee get that and support those outside events? Or is that outside of what we do? So those are all great questions to level set the next group, right? Colleen?
I just,
You pushed your button again, Colleen.
I wanted to ask what the immediate, so for the open house, if we could maybe make recommendations for where the A-frames go, like a standard, like we were just talking about that, but what are if we have 5, let's say we have 5, I'm going to assume we have at least 5, but if we have 5 of those A-frames, where are they going? What is the best viewing place? So like for me, my mind goes to like, you have to stop at the end of gate 3, and there's often signs directly across. I stop at the stop sign at gate 13. There's often signs directly across or next to me. And I know Karen said she's driving by, but there are so many people walking to their mailboxes, et cetera. So if we could pick the prime locations to make sure that those A-frames are in those prime locations, what would they be? And I'm just posing the question.
I think that's great. And I'm happy to work with Alex to get them moved to the locations that you think are best.
Trang?
I'm sorry, were you asking me a question?
Yeah, so what do you think if we just have, like, if we have 5 main places to put the A-frames, target them for quick impact for this very short timeline that we have, where would we place those particular signs?
As much as people hate the gates, that's going to be the only grabber right now. I mean, the mailboxes were fun, I guess, if you had to make an alternative choice. But the graphic I saw in it wasn't that big. So it's just says open house. So I don't think it's going to be a driving situation issue for most people. But I mean, most of the gates are right near the mailbox. I would do the mailbox before the gate, I guess, if you have given a choice. And I would put like the one at gate 2 where the actual facility is. I would put a huge one there with balloons and whatever you can bring to draw people's attention. That will see something's going on in that particular area. So definitely in gate 2, right at the gate where the where it was like people balloons where they fly up. I don't know. The only problem I have with the part that says open house, and I know it is an open house, is that we do have a lot of realtors that have open houses. So it's kind of confusing in that aspect. But it's too late now. So just, I don't know, what would you call that?
And I apologize for the lack of notice. You know, it's been touch and go that we could get all of the elements coming together for the opening of the center. And we wanted to do it as quickly as possible.
That we haven't really, promoted as much as it seemed, but to me, it's almost like we just got the information ourselves about it.
You're exactly right. And I'm apologizing for that.
The things that we
it is
are
what it is.
promoting on Facebook, Colleen and I have been doing, it's because we have deadlines that are approaching, and that was why we've been pushing those, especially the pet of the month and all that, because those deadlines we were just given again last week. And so why we're pushing all of that instead of the open house, so to speak, is I feel more in control of those than I am about the open house. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I don't feel a part of that because we weren't asked to be included to do that. So it wasn't something I was spearheading, but I am more than happy to repost the Facebook group. But reality is, I don't know how much of that is going to drive the marketing for that open house more than I would think what we were talking about with the mailbox signage, the balloons, or whatever you want to do to make a big ordeal. Yeah, that's my input.
And again, I can appreciate that. We are where we are. And so, next year, this is a big lessons learned. The more innovation and good stuff can come out of this committee, given the fact you have more time to think about it and get together and all that. Morgan, your hand's raised.
Yeah. The purpose of the committee is to promote Sudden Valley events. So I think this is well within, regardless of how late or how uninvolved anybody's been up until now. As far as Facebook goes, you just turn off comments if you don't think you can answer questions. The graphic that Joanne made is pretty straightforward. So if, like she said, if there's questions that need asking, you just say, well, go to the open house and ask your questions. Literally all you need to know is that it's Saturday at the Welcome Center, 1 to 3. Like, any other questions?
Food.
Yeah, and there's cookies. I do love the idea of balloons at gate 2. I was actually going to suggest that outside the near the fence, or however we want to do it there. But I don't know about balloons on other
Gate 1.
A-frames. That seems a little, I think you'd only want to put them at where the event is, because that tells you, oh, here it is. But the A-frames at gate 1, gate 3, and mailboxes at Huckleberry and Maple Leaf there at the park would be good. And as odd as, well, I don't think we need them down by the barn, because theoretically people would be driving by there to get there. And then up at gate 5 where the mailboxes in the park are. So you do 2 at 1, and then on the exit at gate 9. If the because in this case, the graphic is big, it's simple. I think there won't be confusion about it. But yeah, the sooner those A-frames get out. But I think also too, the Facebook marketing is important because people don't always check every day and different people log on. So I would encourage that. Like I said, if you can't answer questions, just turn off commenting for that post.
Okay. I'm somehow showing comments. Just get rid of that. So, great. We've reached our time limit on that. I want to go on to the candidate forum. And my goal is by like 7:10 or 7:15 to invite the Sudden Valley homeowners. I can't see right now who might be over there.
I didn't even know where the candidate form that it was planned.
Well,
I thought there
it's-
was a forum before the election.
Right, the election isn't over 10/8.
Right, okay.
The one question, last year there was only one, but most years there are two. Do we wanna try to plan for a second candidate forum? We had an informal one in a park, and those can continue at whatever candidates want to offer up their time. But do we want to have a second formal candidate forum? Does that work better? Karen, you have any thoughts on that? If we should have two, that there are so many candidates that, you know, when we go over this format of, introduce yourself, everyone gets one question that's the same, so we hear them answer the question. And then there's the homeowner questions that are randomly picked out. And each person gets one, maybe two of those, but that's hard to fit a lot in. What are thoughts about a second candidate forum?
I would only do two as long as all candidates are at both.
I mean, we can invite, we can recommend. I don't know that.
Yeah, like we can't make them come, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't split up and go, okay, this day are these candidates and this day are these candidates. That's what I'm saying.
Again, I don't have in front of me right now when the voting when do you have to have your ballot in?
Oh, geez.
I don't have the views open in front of me, but if we're looking at the 8th, I think it's the first week in November is when the
Right.
AGM meeting, this is a town hall, as I understand, and the candidate forum are together. But if we have enough time, I'd push for a second one, I guess, in October, maybe the 22nd. I think voting starts, Nancy said last week, 3 weeks, so maybe around the 10th it starts. So you'd wanna, 15 or 22nd to have a second one.
So you're saying do one on the, wait, so this is the 8th, October 8th, and then do another one on when?
Either a week or 2 weeks later, or you could have one in a morning time frame. Or, trying to catch different people than you would catch on
Right.
a weekend.
So Sandy, sorry,
Yes,
I had my hand up. We had this discussion already last time, and I can give you the two dates that Josh had say that he had emailed.
okay,
So
Okay.
it was 2 nights. It was for Thursday, October 6th in the evening, and then Saturday, October 15th for the morning. I believe those were the dates he gave to Annie. I'm not sure how far along he was, but those were the two that we had talked about in our last meeting with him on August 31st.
so we've got one on 10/8, so that one eliminates the 10/6 one.
All right.
Because there's some synergy to have both of them together with a space in between. So the 15th, Saturday morning, we can, offer another candidate forum. Hopefully when we, walk through these processes, we can kind of use the same thing both times. But it's just, last year, I think they had only enough candidates to fit the slot, so there was not a whole lot to talk about.
Do we also decide if it's going to be hybrid for both of them or just one?
I think we can go through the process and see how it can be done. Again, I don't understand the difficulty of a hybrid, but let's read what the steps or the process roughly would be, that we prepare a neutral list of questions. And so they're not about, you really think this is a good thing to do kind of question. It's more like, why did you move to Sudden Valley? You know, what is your passion about? Where you see Sudden Valley headed? You know, just those questions that could be asked of all of them, and we'd really get a flavor of where each candidate wanted to go. So in the candidate forum, when they come in that first part, in the town hall, they'll have the ability to do a question, to write it up and submit it. And as far as in Zoom, they can put them in the chat. And I would think it'd be one of this committee that would transcribe them from chat and indicate, you know, who said it, and just copy the verbiage down. And then present those also to Joanne, so that those will be mixed with the ones that are happening real time into a big hat, and then they can be pulled out randomly without knowing which person is going to get them. The other role that we have for the communications committee is a timekeeper, so that whether it's holding up, you know, a sign so that both the Zoom sees 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and the people in the room see it also, because each question, you know, being 2 minutes. Do we have any? I'm in an awkward position because, you know, I'm listed, and I just think it would be awkward for me to be the timekeeper. Do anyone else want to volunteer to be the timekeeper? Morgan's in the same position.
So Joanne is the moderator?
Yep.
And then there'll be someone filtering, one of us, either Colleen or myself, filtering the questions from Zoom? Is that?
Not filtering,
No, I
document.
meant gathering or whatever and passing it
Gathering.
on to Joanne?
Right.
Is that what it is? And then you need a timekeeper. That's
Right.
Well, it has to be either Colleen or I, because I think Karen is out of town. So whichever one you want to do, Miss Colleen.
I'm hoping you'll be there with me, Miss Trang, so
Well,
we
I
can.
am, but you have to
yeah.
figure out which
Yeah,
one.
yeah, it's fine. So I want to, I can do the timing. I want to refer everyone. Joanne, I don't know if you've gone through all the bazillion YouTube videos available, but for this committee's purposes, the 2017 forum for the candidate forum had almost as many candidates. So that was a good template. I think I watched that and how it was done. It was kind of informal. Like, I'm going to show you my phone when we're at 30 seconds. I'm doing the timer. But what they did was they had cards at entry, people, or at each seat, right? People wrote on their cards, then they randomly, someone collected them and randomly handed them out to the panel from the audience. There was also very clearly, I know you'll be moderating it amazingly, but it was made very clear, like, this is not a debate forum, so that the communication from the audience is via this card. So there's not going to be interaction between the audience and the candidates during this time. And I thought that was a really great, like, 2 sentences, kept it clear. So there wasn't any, it was very organized, so that it's on YouTube. It's the 2017 candidate forums. There were 2 of them. And I liked how that was done.
I'm writing it down. Thanks.
So Joanne, I talked a little bit about.
I will help with the questions with Joanne, if that's what you want to put in there.
So, teamwork. Train. Virtual. Question. Documenting. And Colleen. Timekeeper. The process working on, again, I think next year it'll be smoother because there'll be processes and documentation. So Joanne is the moderator, and we talked about, she'll start out with a level set of the ground rules. So it sounds like that, is one of the ground rules, Colleen, where it was, the Sudden Valley homeowner input is questions. It's not a debate. That the responses will be 2 minutes. We'll have a timekeeper. I think there has to be, all the questions that come in have to have that high level review, that it's not all swearing or it's targeted question that'll just set off flames. I think there's a reasonable, quick review that you guys and Joanne can look at and say, well, this is just a ridiculous question, that wouldn't be appropriate for this kind of forum. You might throw one out of 25. Hopefully everybody will be, respectful and working toward that community culture. That quick review, the introduction of each one will be 2 minutes. And then, whatever kind of standing question, what do we think the standing questions should be from? I know you had a list, Trang, and there's whatever ideas that we have, maybe 5 questions that would be asked, and you would really learn from the insightful question how this one feels about each thing, or maybe asking them, what committees would you like to chair? What is your passion about Sudden Valley that you want to be a part of?
So can we have the next couple of days to come up with those questions and submit them to Joanne for approval?
I thought we already submitted those questions. I submitted
Yeah,
them.
they're out there, but again,
We
just
have to
opening
refine them,
up
I
again.
think, is what she's saying. And we have to just let's just refine and focus. They're all good questions. Let's just kind of condense them and then offer. Is there a number, 5, 6? Like, Joanne, do you have a preference? Like, is there half a dozen questions, 5 questions?
The practicalities are that with this many candidates, they're not going to have a lot of time each to speak. So
3?
So 3, 4 questions max.
Okay.
Okay, so make them the best questions, and some of the suggestions we heard from Sandy earlier, I thought were good, because you have to give people a little bit of freedom in terms of how they respond. So it's like a broader question that they can take in a direction. Or does that make sense?
And then it would be like, Joanne, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd go through everybody for introductions, everybody for like 1 or 2 of those starter questions, and then really
And then the community questions.
right, but actively show they're random.
Right, they're random.
Pick one out, and then, okay, shake it up. Second person, pick one out, that it's just bingo-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as, once we get the number of sandwich boards and we've got the same blast, we have a little more time for this one, being the 8th instead of the 1st. Are there other avenues? Again, I'm not sure. We'll know tomorrow when the Views comes out again, if it's even worth doing the article or putting much of an announcement out.
who's in charge of, did Josh not do the e-blast? I'm trying to figure out who is doing e-blast.
Who
because
does
that-
e-blast?
Yeah, that's a very effective means of communication.
I can
And
do
I'm
them.
not sure. Okay,
I can do them.
Great.
Josh has created a lot of templates, and there's, I have the access credentials to that tool. I've used similar tools. So we're set up to use that capability as appropriate.
great. I mean, so it's in terms of every single event, particularly, like we could do an e-blast about Saturday. We could do an e-blast about these forums, but it gets to the most people and has a really far reach as compared to other means of communicating.
Thank you for that reminder. I would appreciate recommendations from you guys about if we have more time, like tomorrow I can do an e-blast for the Saturday event and some of the other current announcements that are on the site. So I'll take care of that. But going forward, you might want to say, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks out, we'll announce that it's happening. 2 weeks out, we'll give more details. 1 week out, we'll do something again. But whatever that right timing is, I know we want to keep, I was told that the e-blasts are kind of a weekly thing or an emergency thing. And that traditionally they went out on Tuesday. And your direction would be helpful around the timing of when those are released, and what the schedule would be for including mentions of particular things in terms of how far out.
That is
Right.
wonderful. That is exactly what we need. We need that all events have a process, have a standardized way that they are advertised, because we are all over the place right now. So like you were saying, like 1 month out, we do this, 3 weeks out, we do this, 2 weeks out. And so all staff can have like this standard method of, we do e-blast at this point, we like, so that everybody's kind of uniformly communicating with our community and they can look to expect that.
I believe the e-blasts were sent on Friday when Josh was doing it, but I like your Tuesday idea better just because it's the beginning of the week and not like 2 days before something happens. Because most of our events are on the weekends. So Tuesday or Wednesday would be the ideal day. And I don't know if we necessarily need one every week, but at least twice a month seems to be something we can maintain on a regular basis. And consistency is the part that needs to play on that, because a lot of the members expect them, and when they don't get them, that's when they like what happened. So
Right.
if we're going to do something, we need to be consistent, and we need to start like that schedule thing.
Well, and that lets, this committee prepare for that. Knowing what's coming, every meeting agenda, you got okay, we're 4 weeks out from this, 3 weeks out, but whatever's happening. Again, is if you're not on e-blast, you don't know about e-blast. So that might be something at the open house to say, we're working on, setting up a pattern of announcements, but for sure, e-blast is going to happen. It's going to be consistent. And we're going to develop a process so everyone knows that there's going to be multiple announcements using even just that before any of the, Sudden Valley events versus other vendor planned events that come in, which the next committee will figure out how those are handled. Now, Karen and Morgan are quiet. Any ideas or comments from you guys?
Karen has left the meeting. Is she still
Okay.
in here?
I can't see.
Yeah, I think she said she had to leave.
Oh, I was just wondering if we can e-blast the welcome center.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm gonna try and get that out tomorrow, Morgan.
Okay.
And I've seen posters that have a QR code, which takes you to a place to sign up for the e-blast. So I've made a note to make sure that one of those posters is posted, at least one is posted prominently on Saturday for the people who may be coming through the Welcome Center.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I believe they were posters. They were on the admin office with the QR. 'Cause a
Yeah.
lot of people are doing QRs nowadays, so I'm sure
Yeah, what's old is new again.
that.
Okay. So those were the two that I wanted to, oh, we need to do trunk or treat because, let me see. Can we do this in 10 minutes? It's 10:29 at 5 PM till when? I haven't seen Alex's
When the
announcement.
candy runs out is what Alex tells me. So it depends on how much donation of candy we get, is how long the event is gonna last, because you don't want to face those angry kids with no candy. It's
So
not-
are we soliciting candy yet? Can we do that with the ad? Trang has offered. to-
Yeah, so my deal was to start doing that October, like the first week of October. I have candy donation boxes. Alex and I have talked about where we put one in the rec. We can probably put one in the Welcome Center now that we have a Welcome Center. We will put one in the library if they're willing to put one there. So then there'll be multiple locations on where people can donate candy. And hopefully if we start the first week, that will give us two and a half weeks of collecting candy. And then we have a budget from the rec event center for candy. Last year, we ran out of candy, even though we did have donations, lots of donation, but we still ran out. So I don't know if the attendees were more than normal, or we just gave way too much candy in the beginning, maybe. Maybe we're just down to one or two instead of a whole handful of candy.
Well,
Does
so-
anybody click how many people are coming in? Is there
Last year,
any year? Does anybody keep track?
I
There's-
think, yeah, I heard that the trunk or treat is our most visited event and we had 300 attendees.
yeah,
Okay.
last year we had 300. I correct, the holiday fair, we had 500, so it's not the most attended event, but it is one of our big ones. That was last year. I don't know what the previous years have been. I was a participant more than a volunteer, but it is a pretty big event. The only downfall, we just have to pray that it doesn't rain, because that sucks.
So Joanne can follow up with Alex then, because he and Trang had kind of talked about that, and I don't know. So Joanne can follow up with Alex on what,
Yeah.
on the candy drops, on the and
We have put that on the flyer already, designated. Joanne, the only question I have is, who do I talk to about putting that on the actual website? Because it's not on the website.
Me.
Yeah. So maybe after the open house, we could put a little button.
Advertise at the open house, sure.
So this is also part of the processes that we're looking to find, right? So we create an ad, it goes to the website. It then is disseminated to the social media, right? We can help kind of form a suggested outline for you, Joanne, in terms of that, making that uniform, if that's okay with you.
I think that's great. We're a month out from trunk or treat, and announcing that we're doing the event and asking for candy donations, and that sounds like the right announcement to be first, and then as we get closer to talk about the event and less about the donations. So it's all good. And I know Alex has taken the initiative to create a way for people to go online and say, I'm going to donate. There was a little problem with a call to action in what he had originally showed me. It wasn't clear. I don't know, Trang, if you've seen it since then and cleaned it up a bit, or.
I haven't. We talked about it briefly, and then I saw it on the Park and Rec, but I haven't had an opportunity. We usually connect every other week or so to follow us updates and what we need to do. And I haven't not connected with him yet. I plan to this week just to see, since I was kind of waiting till after the open house, just because I know he's probably heavily involved with the planning aspect of that. So I just wanted to give him a little bit of a break before.
Thank you for
talk
that. We
about-
are all very focused on Saturday.
Yeah, so that's why I haven't really pushed it
I
too.
have a question about the trunk or treat in general. I mean, this may be like something you guys have discussed and said no to. Is there any like chance of like a competition where we do like best scary trunk, prettiest trunk, and like award some kind of
Yeah,
award?
I am on 100% with you, Morgan. We talked about it every year. It just gets a little bit overwhelming with the staff that we have. It is still in a discussion. Alex and I talked about that for sure, to get the community more involved about voting.
Yeah, I think it would build community
Yes.
support and people would like it,
Yeah,
especially if it was, there was enough different categories people could win in so that a lot of people could win.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It has
Not like-
been discussed. I will go back and discuss it again with him to see. But
And,
yes,
and what would the prizes be?
that's the thing. We would have to figure.
I mean, we could do gift cards or,
Hey, guys, we do have Sudden Valley merch, you know? We could,
Do we have swag?
well, I mean, it's right now, I don't know if not all of it says golf, but we have
we
lots
could
of merch
do,
in
yeah,
the
like
golf.
a t-shirt and a mug and
Yeah,
a little paper,
Yeah.
certificate of,
it's
just
all
have
in the golf
Or-
shop.
so we can figure out something.
I think that would make it so fun for people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That has been discussed, and I will revisit with him again on it to see if he wants to take it on.
And Joanne, is that okay with you that we have a committee member meeting with Alex? Like we've had some gray areas on that. Like, would you prefer Trang? Like, how would you like our committee members to interface and collaborate with particularly Alex, since we're focused on events?
Thank you for raising that. I think it's clearest when communication goes through me. I also don't want to get in the way of partnerships that work. But it is important that committees not give direction to staff. For one, it's confusing, and for two, it doesn't work in our collective bargaining agreement with the union. So we have to be respectful of that organization and the rules that govern employment here. But like I said, when there's a productive relationship, I don't really want to discourage that. And Alex has been a very active person in all of these events. So recognizing his role and recognizing that, you want information, he's a good place to get it. So as long as I'm aware of what's happening and can be involved to be able to say yay and nay, I think that we're good. Trang, how does that sound to you and Colleen and Sandy and Morgan? I'd love to hear your feedback on that.
That sounds amazing. And when I say I collaborate, I was a volunteer first, but when I became part of the communication committee, the collaboration became more of a knowledge seeking, more than like volunteering, I guess. It was like, in order for me to communicate to the members and the event is all about, I need to be involved in the planning process as far as like there to listen and to kind of like, give feedback of what maybe members may expect from previous one. We have been very directed as far as what our role is, as far as volunteers, committee members, and then as I don't know, we wear several hats. Like I volunteer because I want to be a part of the event as well, but I know my role as communication committee is just to kind of sit back and kind of take in what the event planning process is.
Mhm.
Alex and I had that relationship because we worked in several events last year together. We kind of were thrown into it. So I have no problem, having you in part of it, that we would like some directions and confirmation. And so a lot of the time when we are hashing out, brainstorming ideas, it's that initial portion part, and nothing is ever confirmed without speaking to the GM or the ops manager. And that's always been for as long as I remember. So I appreciate having someone to bounce the ideas off to, for sure, and giving us that structural that we need.
So Joanne, if you and Alex if you could clarify with him that it's okay in this way, whatever you decide, to communicate with our committee. I think that's really important because sometimes he's not answering emails and such, and I don't know if that's because of barriers to what he thinks our role is. But if you could help clarify that, then we can really collaborate and be helpful to staff, not direct staff, but be helpful to staff.
Yes, it's quite a dance, but it's an important one to get right. So thank you for that. And I will talk to Alex and we'll find a way forward. Morgan, do you feel good about that as well? Does that sound like it's a workable plan?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's important that we define the roles and the ways in which staff and the committees work together, and it should be met with your approval.
And Sandy,
It sounds great.
does that
Yeah,
sound good? Yeah.
I see this as a pilot, right? If you can work with Alex and Tran, because they're so enthusiastic, and find out what rhythm works for you, for any staff and any committee. There's a liaison, a one-to-one, so I don't know ACC, but finance, we know who the ops person is, but if they come up with a, gardening committee the next time through, then who
Mhm.
would the gardening committee liaise with and would, report right up to you and keep you involved with all those things. I think this is a great pilot.
Awesome. Well, I think we've together identified a good path forward, so that we can keep the energy and the excitement and the knowledge source working all together, and inject a little bit of administration so that we can make good progress and not be unsure about getting answers or knowing what we can and can't do. And I think that'll really help everyone in this committee to be much more productive and feel like they're making just a wonderful contribution. So I'm very pleased to try that out, and we'll refine it as we go forward and see what works best.
Great. And then we'll document it.
Yes.
I think it's time. I'm trying to be respectful that we have our 10 minutes. If there's anybody, again, I can't see, John, if there are other people, if there are any comments that a homeowner wants to make, we can't respond because we're running so late, but we welcome any comments from the homeowners. If you would raise your hand in Zoom. I know John says it better than I say it.
Yes. Well, I do have a hand raised. I see Linda Bradley. You should be able to speak, Linda.
So I think the pattern, Linda, my first time as a committee chair, but is that you announce your name and where you live and then the comment. Thank you.
Can do. Can you hear me?
Yes, great.
So my name is Linda Bradley. I live at 5 Wisteria Lane. I've been N&E chair for a number of years. I haven't heard any of you speak to the fact that in the October views, all of the bios, pictures, and vision statements are supposed to be included from all the candidates. Since you're going to shorten their time to speak to you, I'm concerned that if the views isn't coming out until after the 8th, that if this is when your first forum is, that, you know, you're not doing anything. And are you going to possibly consider sending out information to each of the candidates of what just what your general questions are going to be? Just thoughts for you to think about, because I didn't hear any of that mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other hands, Joanne?
There are not.
Well, I appreciate everybody's efforts. My last question to the committee would be, do you want to meet again in this crunch time? Do you want to meet again next week at an earlier hour? Or do you want to meet in 2 weeks to keep going with this pace? And I will send this draft minutes out to the whole committee as a draft set of minutes and make corrections, and then it'll be up for approval at the next meeting. So when would you like to meet again?
As the AGM is approaching with our first candidate meeting on the 6th, I would like to meet as soon so we can finalize the questions to the candidates. So the sooner the
Okay,
better.
so what? Suggest today. You want to meet Friday evening? I only need 48 hours for agenda submission.
You mean this week? I thought you meant next week.
Either one, 30th, the 7th. Well,
Well, it will give us some time to get all the questions finalized. I would like to do it next week. I'm
Okay.
good with the date next week. The 5th, if we go
Tuesday.
back to our Wednesday meetings, that's fine with
Okay.
me.
so,
Joanne,
and you'd
probably
like
have
to
to
do
be
it
there.
earlier, like 5 o'clock?
Yes, please.
5 o'clock Wednesday, the 5th, Morgan?
I
does that work?
I can't do that.
Morgan is a Thursday only person?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the best for me.
Okay,
I could do
Or
Friday.
early in the day, like
early.
11, 12.
Oh, I can't
Okay.
do early.
Well, how early can you do it, Trang?
5 is.
I go to
work
work at 4.
I work at.
I go to work at 4 in the afternoon. So
So
um,
she's that other shift.
that 5 doesn't work.
Okay,
At all or any day.
On Thursday, it would work.
Thursday I can do.
Okay.
okay, so we're talking Thursday, the 6th at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Sound good to everybody? Okay, I want to thank you for tolerating the whirlwind, keep it moving. But I think we got a lot accomplished, and now I can clean it up, and I'm excited. I hope to see all of you at the open house.
Great job,
And-
Sandy.
Joanne, thank you, Joanne. I'll be in touch about what kind of balloons I can bring to tie on the signs. So thanks, everybody. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
We're adjourning. I need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I think we need a
Motion to adjourn, seconded.
second.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.